everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a reporter here with Forbes. Joining me now is my Forbes colleague, Ohnsman, senior editor and author of the Current Climate newsletter. Alan, thanks so much for coming back on.
Hi, Brittany. Happy to be here.
You and I have had multiple conversations now on the Robotaxi rivalry, and it's been a monumental few days for two of the competitors. First, Waymo officially expanded into its fifth city, but Tesla finally rolled out paid rides in its first. So let's talk about the latter. To start off the conversation, Tesla and Elon Musk had this much-awaited launch. How did it go?
Well, tough to say. On the top line is nothing terrible happened. No one was hurt, no accidents, and that's a very good thing. At the same time, there have been now more reports coming in of strange behavior where the vehicles did odd things. There were a number of incidents where there were phantom braking incidents where the car just suddenly stopped when it saw police lights flashing, where it inadvertently let people out in the middle of the street, and where one vehicle seemed confused about making a left turn, drove in the wrong lane temporarily, and then moved back to the proper lane. So there were a series of videos posted by some of the pre-selected riders who tried the system out. And it is safe to say it was not flawless. The good news is no one was hurt, no vehicles were damaged, and so that's a good thing. But this was a very qualified robotaxi program. And by that, I mean, it's not really what we consider robotaxi. There were safety monitors, human safety monitors riding in all the vehicles in the front seat, who were apparently prepared to maybe intervene if something really dangerous happened. There were chase vehicles in some cases that were tracking the cars and keeping close tabs on them. And then there was remote monitoring to also make sure nothing really bad happened. There was also a very, very limited service area, about 33 square miles, apparently, in downtown Austin. That's a pretty small area in a big city. That's not much. It's not clear exactly how many vehicles participated in the program. It's anywhere between 10 and 12. And then finally, the group that participated, the people that did take the rides, were carefully selected. So you had some investors, you had bloggers, but these tended to be bloggers who fall on the side of being very, very pro-Tesla. So I've been in a lot of robotaxis. I've participated in a lot of events. I'm not quite sure how to classify this because the level of precautions taken by Tesla, to me, it felt closer to the kind of test rides that Waymo used to do years ago, but for which they did not charge people. So in this case, it really felt like, Tesla, yes, these were operating basically autonomously. They were charging people, but these really felt like test rides and not like a fully fledged system.
And they were charging people only $4.20 a ride. And if you're an investor, I mean, you have some financial stake for this to go well. And it sounds like from your reporting, a very tightly controlled testing launch. Elon Musk categorized it, though, as a success. He was super congratulatory to Tesla, to Robotaxi. He talked about how it's been years, a decade, really, of hard work. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reportedly reached out to Tesla one day after the launch over safety concerns. I'm curious where you think this all ends for the future of Tesla, because you quoted in your reporting an analyst from Barclays who said this, quote, "Bulls will point to yesterday's event as the start of a new era for Tesla, one which bulls and believers have been awaiting for a long time. They see the tech working well with a clear path of scaling and point to Tesla now generating revenue on driverless rides as a critical milestone." Do you see this really as a new era for Tesla?
No, and here's why. What they demonstrated was their software is improving and has more capability, and that's very good. It remains, as of today, impossible to model the revenue impact from this. If Tesla expands the service and rolls out a true commercial robotaxi service that's generating revenue, that will be meaningful. This is a test program, and I think it's not accurate to call this a true commercial robotaxi project. I mean, yes, they're charging people a token amount of $4.20, which of course plays to Elon's, marijuana-related references. But right now, as Dan Levy from Barclays pointed out in that report, scaling this is what matters. And scaling means not just doing a very limited, controlled section of one city with a handful of cars that are closely monitored. You need to let these vehicles be able to operate in the wild, basically, and be confident that they are safe and can pick up and drop off people with no incidents. They're not there yet. They're just not. And we saw the stock really responded on Monday because, Elon said total victory, big success. And a lot of true believers in Tesla, they were convinced. The stock went up a lot. It's down a bit today, and that's because, reality kind of sinks in. NHTSA is reviewing what happened based on videos that were posted and some of the reports about strange behavior and erratic behavior with these vehicles. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration needs to ensure that companies are putting safe products on the road. And they've launched this new review on top of an ongoing review of Tesla FSD that's been going on for some time now. So does it signal a new era? No, and it's really not legitimate, as some equity analysts proclaim this is a new era for the company. They're just not there yet. We don't know the revenue impact, the financial impact of this, and then of course there is a new issue that Tesla moving into a robotaxi business opens up, and that's liability. Up to this point, with Autopilot and Tesla FSD, Tesla has not faced direct legal liability in the case of accidents for one simple reason. Owners are told clearly on the software that you are responsible, that the vehicle itself is not fully autonomous, that if something happens, you must be prepared to take action. There have been numerous accidents and some fatalities involving Autopilot and FSD over the years. Tesla has not faced real liability for that because of the disclaimer that tells the owner you're responsible. With a robotaxi system now, things have changed because the robotaxi is understood to be fully autonomous. The vehicle is in full control. You don't have to do anything. You can watch movies or play video games or sleep in the back seat. The car is driving. If something happens now in a Tesla-operated robotaxi system, well, Tesla will face the full liability and responsibility for that if something goes wrong. So this opens up another new door that Tesla hasn't had to deal with up to this point, which is a liability risk if something happens with the company-operated robotaxis, and they really haven't had to deal with this. So is it a new era? It is not. They are transitioning and hope to create a new era, but as of today, it is impossible to do revenue modeling for this and real meaningful projections. We don't know what they're going to charge. We don't know how many rides they can provide. And then you have the liability risk and the extra insurance and cost that Tesla will bear as a result of that. So I think Dan Levy put it exactly right in his in his report. We need to see how this scales and how it expands. This was a test program. It just is a test program in Austin.
And a tightly controlled test program at that. And if you looked at Elon Musk's X platform and his profile, I mean, it looked like a successful launch because he was only reposting people that were extremely complimentary. But you and I have been talking for months now about the problems that are plaguing Tesla, and they're divided in three camps. One, the brand issue with Elon Musk having some chaotic personal and political situations in the past couple of months, and that him being so linked to the company. Second, a product issue with Cybertruck sales being so dismal in Q1. And then third, that there are real viable contenders in the EV space. Do you think this really tightly controlled rollout did Tesla any favors right now, or did it open a new can of worms with these safety issues that could be on the horizon?
They definitely got some positive buzz because of it, no question about that. And again, the stock bump yesterday, investors were happy to see that. Elon promised they would do this in June. They did it in June. So in that case, mission accomplished. To your point, yeah, does it open a new can of worms? It does. Because as they continue to operate this program and put more vehicles out there, the likelihood that there will be some accidents and incidents grows rather quickly. And it's going to be very difficult for the company if they expand the program under the current model where it's so heavily monitored. Well, there are a lot of costs that go along with doing that. So suddenly, Elon Musk has said for years that Tesla will have a major cost advantage over companies like Waymo and Zoox because it is a much lower cost system, costing only maybe hundreds of dollars versus several thousand or even tens of thousands of dollars for the Waymo tech. And so Tesla will have a clear advantage there. But if you then bake in the number of human workers, technicians that have to monitor and keep close tabs, let alone any potential liability risk, suddenly, do they necessarily have the same cost advantage that he's been talking about? We don't know yet. And so that's why I say, are we in a new era with Tesla? I would not say that because, again, there are just too many unknowns at this stage. It is fortunate that no one was harmed or injured and no vehicles were damaged over the weekend. Hopefully it will stay that way.
And you and I, in our last conversation, you concluded, based on your reporting, that Tesla is not a viable contender to Waymo. And I think that stark comparison was really on display over the past couple of days because you see Tesla with this small, heavily monitored launch in its first city in Austin. Then you see Waymo expanding to its fifth city in Atlanta. How did that go?
Well, they just launched today. Haven't heard any reports so far of any problems. But I'll be honest, I was surprised that they launched in Atlanta now. I didn't think that was happening until later in the year. They just rolled out in Austin in May, I believe, April or May. And so I thought they were still kind of getting up to speed there. So I was very surprised that Atlanta happened today. And I think what that tells us is that Waymo's confidence is certainly getting higher. They've been in Phoenix for many years now. They've been in the Bay Area for many years. They entered Los Angeles last year. Just within the last 2 weeks, they've announced expanded service areas in Los Angeles and in the Bay Area, into Bay Area cities in Silicon Valley. They entered Austin. Atlanta was an announced new city, but I was surprised when they actually launched it this week. I didn't think it would happen that soon. So I guess they're feeling more comfortable. They have more cities coming. Miami and Washington, D.C. are planned for 2026, but who knows? Maybe they'll bump up the timing there if again, things proceed as they have thus far, which means no major accidents, no fatalities. If it keeps going that way, they may feel comfortable enough to launch in those cities sooner. And they're testing all over the place now, in San Diego, in Nashville, in New York City, Tokyo. They're at Las Vegas. They're just really starting to turn into a serious player in this space. I mean, they are the de facto leader at this point, but the pace with which they're expanding is notable. They went from maybe 500 or 600 vehicles a year ago to about 2,000 currently in their fleet. As we reported last month, they have a factory in Arizona that's prepping more of these vehicles, and they'll be supplying several thousand over the next few years. So their pace of expansion is really only limited at this point, it seems, by how many vehicles are available, how quickly they can get new vehicles into those fleets. Atlanta, they're only starting with a few dozen vehicles, which is relatively small. Over time, they said that'll grow to hundreds and hundreds. They're, in an interesting situation, but Waymo is suddenly really moving at a pretty brisk pace. And I would say, again, faster than I anticipated. I did not expect Atlanta to launch yet.
I know that Elon Musk has touted Tesla's Robotaxi, calling Tesla an industry leader. You're reporting that Robotaxi has not been ready for prime time. I mean, that confidence is undeserved. Do you think the high confidence Waymo feels by launching in Atlanta faster than you anticipated, and you have your finger on the pulse here in this industry, do you think that confidence is deserved?
Well, that's a great question. I know generally with AV researchers, they find Waymo's approach. They're more comfortable with it. That it has erred on the side of safety, more extensive testing, a far more impressive suite of sensors and technology on the vehicle. So that makes them feel comfortable. But I think every AV expert will tell you this is still very new technology. And there is always potential for risk. And Waymo maybe has the best track record thus far, but it's not perfect. There have been incidents with Waymo vehicles, minor things, fortunately. Kinks continue to be worked out of the system. So, depending on who you talk to, I think some of the sharpest minds in terms of who's monitoring the development of the technology would tell you they would probably like to see Waymo move a little slower. My sense is perhaps because of Tesla's launch on Sunday in Austin, Waymo basically decided, okay, well, here's another city for us. Yeah, that's cute what you're doing in Austin. We're going into a city where no one is operating right now. Because, by the way, there is no other autonomous tech company in Atlanta, so Waymo's the first there.
I mean, call me bearish, but I think in this situation, first is not best. Safety is paramount here. What do you think the past few days have told you or indicated to you about this industry, that both Tesla as well as Waymo are ready now to take more risks? And do you think those risks will pay off? I mean, what does this really look like?
This is a really interesting time we're in because I've been watching this space since about 2014. And there has been so much hype and promise for more than a decade around autonomous vehicles. And for a very long time, huge amounts of money was raised, big deals were announced, partnerships, tens of billions of dollars have been poured into this. And then for a long time, it really didn't seem like anything was happening. It just seemed like, okay, well, this is going to take way longer than anybody anticipated. Last year, things began to change, and that was when Waymo really picked up the pace of its commercial activities, moving out of just Phoenix into San Francisco and Los Angeles, and now adding, it's into 5 cities now. The pace of maturation and their confidence is very interesting. Now, the Waymo program, again, it's 16 years old. They've spent a lot of time on this, and probably between 15 and 20 billion dollars in development over that time period. So they've had a lot of time to really focus on this. At one point, they were going to do other things. They were also going to do robotic trucking. They were going to do logistics and delivery services. They scrapped that. They put all their focus on Robotaxi. We're going to do that first, then we'll do these other things. Perhaps within Alphabet, there's been a sense like we need this bet to pay off. We've put a lot of money. We've been very patient. And we're beginning to see in the marketplace, okay, this is turning into a business. I've put in the stories before, by my calculation, it probably generated about $100 million of revenue last year. Waymo won't confirm that, but ballpark, that's kind of in the zone. This year, maybe it's going to be $500 million. We'll see. They're currently doing 250,000 paid rides a week. But that number, I just checked today, are you still comfortable with that number? And they said, officially, that's the only number we're giving out. I think they're probably more in the ballpark of 3 to 350,000 a week. That number is just going to keep growing. And that number is simply a function of fleet size. The more vehicles, the more rides. That's it. But so far, as far as Waymo goes, people like the service, very positive. I think there was a report I saw a couple of weeks ago that Waymo carries more passengers in San Francisco, for example, than Lyft does. So it's already the number 2 ride-hail service in the city of San Francisco. If that's true, that's remarkable, and how quickly they managed to do that. So Uber would be the only service that carries, ride-hail service that carries more riders there. So they are truly, right now, they appear to be on path to large-scale commercialization. And I find that remarkable. We talked about Zoox recently, and Zoox is coming next. And Zoox, I kind of think of as Waymo Jr., but with, their distinguishing factor is a purpose-built robotaxi vehicle that's very different. They're going to launch later this year, probably December, in Las Vegas, doing full, commercial rides in Las Vegas. And so they are on path. So between what Waymo's doing, what we're seeing at Tesla, and with companies like Zoox, and others will follow. There are others that are coming. Mobileye has plans to work with some of the ride-hail companies, and Volkswagen has ideas. And so there will be more. But we are really in a very interesting, historically, we're in a very interesting time right now, where this technology that's been talked about for so long, in development for so long, is actually, starting to hit the road in a more meaningful way. And again, I was truly surprised that Waymo was already launching in Atlanta. I really did not expect that until late summer or fall, perhaps. And it's only June. So.
Do you think that launch date was just a couple days after Tesla rolled out in Austin? Do you think that was impacted and moved up by Tesla's Robotaxi at all? Does Waymo even care about Tesla's Robotaxi? I mean, if you're comparing side by side, because you can't really compare them side by side now because of this small rollout in Austin at least, but compare them. Does Waymo care about Tesla?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I think you can't help but pay very close attention to your competitors in this space and watch what they're doing. So yeah, it would not. I don't know. I have no confirmation of this. So was Waymo's rollout in Atlanta timed to take away some of Tesla's thunder? Maybe. No one will say so on the record, but it's awfully curious, the timing it being so close. But I think it's a flex for sure. I think they're showing what they're capable of. Now, the big question is, just like with Tesla, are they moving too fast? And again, as of today, so far so good, but this is a whole new area. They are setting the pace. Elon Musk wants to change that. Other competitors are coming. So it's really just fascinating watching this new market suddenly, develop. We're seeing it happen now, week by week.
And it does, when you think about it, take the wind a little bit out of Tesla's sails. When Tesla says, hey, I launched in my first city, Waymo the next day or 2 days later goes, hey, we just expanded to our fifth. But there's certainly a lot to look out for in this space, and I always appreciate and enjoy our conversations on the Robotaxi rivalry. Alan Ohnsman, thank you so much for joining me. Until the next one.
Thanks, Brittany. Always fun to talk with you.